While much of the world is focused on politics and military strategy in Iran, there is a quiet revolution happening inside the country. Hundreds of exiled Iranian Christian leaders are focused on what God is doing among a people whose culture has been, so to speak, behind the veil since the Iranian Revolution of 1979. Tonight, we'll get an inside look at that movement and the forces at work in one of the world's most beautiful yet isolated countries. My guest tonight is Joe Connor with an organization called Elam Ministries. He has his own fascinating journey to faith, including time as a professional soccer player in his home country of the United Kingdom. But before we talk with Joe, I want you to watch this.
It started with prayer. The seeds of our story were planted in December 1955 when my grandparents, Seth and Vartuhi Yegnazar, opened their home for prayer. They and others prayed every single day for over 4 years.
تا اون که خداوند صحبت کرد، سخن گفت که در منزلت باز کن و اعلام نما به کسانی که بیایند که من زنده هستم.
That birthed a deep, unshakable passion in my father, Sam Yegnazar.
In 1979, we had Islamic Revolution in Iran. Churches were closed. All the missionaries had to leave the country. Few Iranian leaders were left there. The situation was desperate.
In 1990, alongside his friend Reza Roshanzamir, Sam founded Elam Ministries. They were absolutely determined to do everything they could to reach Iran with the love of Christ.
Really, it was Sammy's vision. He said to me, Reza Jan, we need to train people. So we started with 6 students from Iran.
They came, they studied, and the numbers now has gone over 1,000. And also, the Word of God. My passion was to give the Word of God to people. So not only the training, but we started a new translation of the Bible.
But on this journey, passion was accompanied by pain. Many who caught this vision paid heavy prices.
And I take up my blindfold. It was just like grave.
احساس کردم تنها شدم، دیگه احمد رو نمیبینم. گفتم وای احمد رو بردن، دیگه من هیچ وقت احمد رو نمیبینم. احمد رفت برای اعدام.
سخت‌ترین روز بود که شب اصلا نخوابیدیم.
Prayer, passion, pain, and then perseverance. When churches were closed down, house churches were planted. When Christians were sent to prison, more people were trained. When Bibles were banned, more were printed, and the church has grown. But this isn't a story of individuals, it's the story of partnership. From those who risked everything to share the gospel, to Christians around the world who prayed and gave sacrificially, to faithful partners who've walked this road with us for decades. You have been part of this story. Together, we've carried the vision and watched the Lord move in extraordinary ways. Thousands have been trained. House churches have been planted. One-to-one discipleship all over the Iran region. Relief when disaster has struck. Millions of scriptures distributed, and so much more. We celebrate 35 years, but it's also the start of many new, exciting journeys to reach and disciple millions more in the Iran region and beyond.
Joe Connor, that's a breathtaking story, one that almost defies human comprehension. We'll talk about how God led you to Elam Ministries, but first, tell us a bit about your own journey to faith in Jesus.
Yeah, so I grew up in Manchester, England, and football, soccer, to our American audience was my
Aren't there
religion.
Manchester City and Manchester United are two very different teams.
Two pretty big teams on the world stage. Yeah. So I grew up around that. When it was my life. It was everything I wanted to do. I had great parents, wonderful family, but we weren't necessarily followers of Jesus. Went to church. Grew up in a Catholic home. I know Catholics who love the Lord, love Jesus, but for us it was just part of our culture. And so I came to America at 18 on a soccer scholarship and ended up at Lee University, which is a Christian university.
Cleveland, Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah. Shout out to Lee. I went there just to play soccer and ended up falling in love with Jesus and fell in love with an American girl not too long afterwards. So I got a 2-for-1 coming to America. And it changed my life. So from 19, I was all in from day one. Had a lot to learn, massive heart change, 180 turnaround in my lifestyle, and best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow, it's amazing what God can do. And you didn't just play college soccer, you played some professional soccer.
Yeah,
right?
I was lucky enough after 4 years in college, I played about 4 seasons in America in Charlotte, back when the Charlotte Eagles was the pro team there. And then I moved back to England and played about 6 more seasons, was able to play for my hometown team. My granddad was the top goal scorer ever for that club, Stockport County. My dad played a game for them. And I was lucky to be the club captain when I went back. Yeah.
That's great. And you have some Irish heritage too.
Yeah, my gran, Connor, my family's Connors. My gran was actually a Brady, but yeah, we stem from Irish Catholic roots. Good families, but yeah, good Irish Catholic family.
Yeah. You were in this amazing ministry. I've watched I've seen you talk about it on YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
You were at a church in Atlanta, at Christ Church in Atlanta, talking about the work that you do.
Yeah.
We tend to think about Iran only during conflict, but what's really happening in the hearts of young Iranians?
Yes, so many people in Iran are disillusioned with their government. So when you're disillusioned with the government of Iran, you're also disillusioned with Islam that it stands for. So the Iranian government and Islam go hand in hand now.
It's a theocratic government.
Yeah. So Islam is different all over the world. I have Muslim friends who are lovely people, but inside Iran, the Islam that teaches, it's Sharia law is enforced, it oppresses women. Women are second-class citizens. You cannot choose your religion. You can't think for yourself. Anything that comes against the government is propaganda against the state. So as many people have grown disillusioned with the government, their hearts have become open to other things. And one of those is that their hearts are open to the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yeah.
But of course to become a Christian could mean your life.
It is illegal, yeah. So I have many friends who have been to prison for their faith. Yet that's one of the things that is incredibly attractive. When you see people who are willing to give up everything to follow this God, this Messiah, this Jesus, it makes it very attractive. And they're not going around causing pain or forcing it on people. It's more of an offering. We believe everybody should have a choice to choose what religion they want to follow, and therefore everybody should be presented with the gospel.
Yeah. It's amazing that people would risk their lives. You know, here in the United States, we don't have that challenge. I mean, if you become a Christian, and a lot of people in America are culturally Christians too. Like you talk about people being culturally Muslim or culturally Catholic or Protestant in Europe and the UK. A lot of people in the United States are that way too. They're culturally Christians, but maybe don't have a strong faith, certainly not strong enough that they would put their life in danger for the gospel.
Yeah, I mean, I became a Christian in America, so I am so grateful for the American church. I was discipled here, I was raised here as a Christian, so I would say that there are some absolutely fantastic Christians in America who are beautiful people, but yes, there are a lot of nominal Christians as well. In Iran, you don't have the luxury of being a nominal Christian. You're either in or you're out. One of the most beautiful lessons I've learned from the Iranian church is that every morning, Iranian Christians have to ask themselves, is Jesus worth it today? Because today might be the day they're arrested or they lose their job. And every day, Iranian Christians say, yes, he's worth it. And that's one of the things we need to learn from them.
Yeah, yeah. My very special guest is Joe Connor with Elam Ministries. He's helping lift the curtain on one of the most insulated countries in the world, Iran. With events there changing by the day, this is a critically important conversation. So stay with us.
Learn more about Joe Watkins and the mission of this program at joewatkins.net. And tell Joe what you thought about today's program in the comment box.
For more than 35 years, Elam Ministries has been at the center of a Christian revival inside Iran. Today, we're hearing stories of what God is doing through courageous followers of Jesus in ancient Persia. Joe, let me take you a step further. If Iran were to become a more secular state, not the theocratic one that it is now, if there were regime change, what happens next? Does it become more like Dubai, Qatar, or Turkey, where there's greater religious tolerance, but materialism and wealth become the new God?
Yeah, it's impossible to know what's going to happen, but we as a ministry are prepared for whatever happens. Our job is to build the church inside Iran, to equip the church, and that's what we'll keep doing. If Iran does become more free, we are ready to get 1 million Bibles into the country and distribute them all over.
How do you get Bibles in now?
So now I can't go into all the details,
Yes.
but there are brave men and women that risk a lot to get them into the country, and they are being passed out like wildfire. The Iranian government has been on TV with one of these Bibles, one of the ones we print and distribute, and said anyone caught with this book will be in serious trouble and arrested. And when you've got a huge population of people that are disillusioned with your government and you tell them not to read a book, everybody wants to read it.
Yeah.
So it was great advertisement for us.
Yeah. But so how could you get caught? Is this the religious police? Are these what, when you have Sharia law and you have religious police, they have the right to inspect somebody or to stop them and say?
So I'll give you an example. After America and Israel bombed Iran last summer, there were checkpoints set up all over Iran. The Iranian government were looking for Zionists, spies, people like that. And a new believer, he just become a new believer, was carrying around his Bible with him. He was stopped, he was searched. They found his Bible, this New Testament, and he was taken to the station. He was beaten. They were going to make him sign a confession that he was a Zionist spy. Luckily for him, he had an uncle that was high up in the police or the military, I can't remember, and was able to get him out of the prison. But yeah, it is very risky to be a Christian in Iran.
Wow. This is why I suppose you say every day in Iran, a Christian person has to think, is Jesus worth it? Am I really following Jesus today?
Yeah. And to encourage our Western audience, I don't have to ask myself that question every day, but I should. Maybe I don't have to ask myself, is it worth going to prison, but is it worth telling the truth? Is it worth being kind? Is it worth serving other people? And the answer is yes, it is worth it.
Yeah. What led you to this?
So I met the guy who now runs Elam Ministry, David Jegnazar. He was born in Iran. His dad started it. He now runs it. I met him about 20 years ago at a church. He liked soccer and I liked the ministry that he was doing. So we stayed friends. And 9 years ago, I moved back to America to be with my wife's family. And I started working full-time with Elam Ministry just to share the story and work with our partners, and I absolutely love it. I pinch myself every day that this is a job for me to get to work with the fastest growing church in the world and then share the story in America and around the world with other people.
Are their family is from Iran originally?
Yeah. So David himself was born in Iran. His dad's Iranian. His mum was actually British. His parents met at a Bible college in India. And then they lived in Iran. They were sharing the gospel with people. And then after 1979, a few things happened and they couldn't live back in Iran anymore.
Yeah, and his grandfather is a Christian guy.
His grandfather was a Christian. They really did have a prayer service in their house that met every day for 4 years. And I've spoken to David's dad about it. He was a teenager when they did this. What was it like? Were there not days where you just didn't want to go to pray and you were tired? And he said, yeah, my dad just used to tell me, go put water on your face and wash it and wake up and come and pray. And it was just the culture that they had. And it's amazing to see that the the faithfulness of men and women that have gone before us, that served when there was no fruit. They were just faithful to do what the Lord has called them to do. I'm in a position where I get to see this incredible harvest because of the faithfulness of men and women that have gone before us.
And they say it's one of the fastest growing churches in the world?
Yeah, and I can attest to that. I literally work with thousands of Iranians, leaders of hundreds. They're amazing people. We can't put an exact number on it, but most conservative estimates say about 1 million, but some of my friends say 2 to 3 million, but we really don't know.
Are they able to worship in Iran? Do they have underground churches?
All of the growth in the churches in Iran is in underground churches. So they have an Armenian church in Iran. It's kind of like a cultural, they speak Armenian. Muslims are not allowed in it. They're not allowed to evangelize. So it allows the Iranian government to say, we have Christians in Iran.
Right.
But all of this growth is in underground churches, meeting in houses, in parks, in people's cars. They do walk in church where they have nowhere to meet, so they'll just walk together and pray and sing songs together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you heard of people while doing this being captured or being arrested or?
Yeah, I have many, like I said, I have many friends that have been in prison for their faith. Just last week, actually, we had a guy who was part of our team. He's been in prison for a while. He's been on death row, and we've been praying for him miraculously. He was released just last week. So I have friends that whilst they're having a church service in their home, the police raid the church and they beat them, they fling them around and they arrest them and take them in for interrogation. So these are not stories I'm telling of a friend of a friend. These are people I know that I work with. It's quite incredible.
Wow. Yeah. So if the government happens to fall,
yeah.
I mean, and I don't know that it will. I mean, what we've seen is that the absence of the Ayatollah doesn't mean that his son took over, as we understand.
Yeah.
But if that government were to fall, it doesn't mean that automatically there would be a democracy in there. I mean,
No.
It could be another theocratic government.
Yeah, like I said, we really don't know what's going to happen in Iran. There is a part of us that's like, what if it was completely free? You know, it's fun to dream about those things, but the Middle East is complicated.
Yeah.
The history shows us that it's not easy. We believe we're in for a long run, whatever happens. But like I said, one of the most important things to know is that there is a church in Iran. There really is believers who love Jesus. They're going out, even in the midst of bombings, they're feeding people, they're caring for people, they're helping people. And we want to keep supporting that church. Whether Iran opens up or it stays closed, our mission is to help that church on the ground.
Yeah. Is the quality of life such there that there are lots of people in need, or is it because of all the bombing?
Yeah, it's because of the way the government has been over the last few decades and because of the war and economic crisis. So Iran is not a poor country. It's beautiful. It's got very well-educated people. But because of the events, many people are suffering now. If this war continues, I believe there'll be a humanitarian crisis.
Good Lord. My. Well, we could have spent an entire program talking about your soccer career, but how do you see sports playing a role in Iran's future?
Yeah, one of the beautiful things I've able to be a part of, when I first joined Elam 9 years ago, I went to the region, I saw this fast-growing church, Muslims coming to Christ. I was at baptisms with hundreds of people who used to be Muslim. It was beautiful. And I went and said, what are we doing for young people, for children? You know, it was growing so fast, there was just so much work to do. And we were able to set up a sports ministry. So we have lots of youth work and children's work now, but 8 or 9 years ago, we set up this small sports ministry and we started training Iranian Christians who are from a Muslim background to use sports as a way to reach the next generation. And honestly, we've trained hundreds of coaches, thousands of people have been impacted, entire families have come to Christ all over the Iran region. And it's amazing how God uses this soccer ball to build relationships in order. It's all done through local churches, so that's the key really, is local churches getting around these coaches who volunteer, they give their time, and week after week, they just go and love on people. People, Muslims, who would never step into a church. They'd never go anywhere close to a Christian church. But yet, because this coach loves them week after week after week, they see Christians in a different light. It's a really beautiful thing. So it's an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And they get to have a former professional soccer player,
Yeah.
which is kind of,
It's actually an amazing story. The guy who leads it in the Middle East is a good friend of mine. He's called Siavash.
Yeah.
He was a professional player in Iran. His sister became a Christian. He told his sister, I never want to speak to you again, because she became a Christian. Then whilst he was playing for one of the biggest teams in Iran, he blew out his knee and he needed surgery. His career was on the line. His Christian sister came and prayed for him, miraculously healed his knee. He became a Christian, went into practice the next day. He was sharing his faith, and then all the professional teams in Iran said, you can't play for us if you're going to be a Christian. So he actually lost his career because of his faith. And now he's the guy that's real. I support him, I help him. He's leading this beautiful ministry in the Middle East that is, honestly, it's helping thousands of people.
he lost his career, but he found life.
He did. He found true life, yeah.
Well, it's important to emphasize that the work Joe and his teammates at Elam Ministries are doing is actually illegal. It's also extremely dangerous, but because of supporters around the world, the gospel is taking deep root in Persian soil. I'll be right back with our guest, Joe Connor.
You're watching Joe Watkins' State of Independence on Lighthouse TV. Positively different.
We're back with our guest, Joe Connor of Elam Ministries. And this is all fascinating stuff. You know, we see the news about what's going on in Iran, of course, and we know there's great uncertainty there. I suppose you may hear a little bit more from your sources about what the chances are of real change coming to the country. I mean, many Americans thought that once the Ayatollah was removed, that maybe there was a chance for some kind of a new democratic form of government that was more pleasing to the masses of people might take. But of course, his son, the ruler's son, took his place. And what do you think are the chances? I mean, if he was.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is in Iran, even though this church is growing really fast, and there are many, many people, I would say most of the population is disillusioned with the government, but there are still millions of people in Iran that support the government and they believe in their Islamic ideology. So if you remove one leader, there's another person waiting underneath them that would find it an honor to take that role, to die for their faith. So it's a long road ahead. I was never, part of the Iranian people. They were very excited in the beginning. There could be hope, there could be a real change. And I think as the weeks drag on, the reality is starting to sink in that this government is not going to go down without a fight. I don't think that they will surrender. It would really surprise me if they did. But one of the most beautiful things I've seen, I've been working with Elam for 10 years, but almost 10 years. But in the last year, we've seen intense persecution. We've seen America and Israel bomb the nuclear sites last summer. We saw an economic crisis. And then in December, these protests started. And in January, the Iranian government actually killed 40 to 80,000 of its own citizens in the January massacres. That seems like old news now, but that happened just in January. And now another war. And one of the things that we've seen... 40 to 80,000. The Western news talked about it, but it didn't do it justice of the massacres that actually happened. And this is from people we've spoken to on the ground that we know, we've seen the videos. It's very, very horrific.
What did they do?
These were peaceful protests. There were literally snipers on the roof. There were machine guns. They gunned people down. I don't want to go into all the details. It was very horrific. Just the streets were lined with bodies. It was very, very sad. So from that moment in January, it happened in 2 days, all over the country, not just in one place, multiple cities. From that day, the Iranian people were never going back. Iran will never be the same again. But what we've seen through all of that, this incredible last year, intense suffering, real trauma, but at the same time, the glory of Jesus has been working through his church. I've never heard so many testimonies of people coming to Christ. Just today on my phone, before I came on this show, I got 4 more testimonies from inside, people coming to Christ. It's just unbelievable. And the thing that we've seen is through all the hardship, through all the suffering, the church has come through shining. You know, like that cliche, you know, when it's the darkest, the stars shine the brightest.
Yeah.
We've really seen that inside Iran.
You told a story about a guy who had a Muslim name and had been a Muslim, and he was with other Muslim men.
Yeah.
And when he said his name, he said, "Oh, you must be Muslim."
Yeah.
And he said, "No, I'm a Christian."
Yeah.
But
one of the things I was in the Iran region just after these massacres in January. I was with about 30 of our leaders, and they were weeping. They had friends and family that had been killed. They were weeping, we were praying, we were in an intense time of prayer, crying out for the nation of Iran and for the people who had suffered. And partway through the prayer, someone in the room said, "Who is crying out for the other Muslim nations?" And these Iranian people who were going through intense suffering started to pray for other nations around them, that these other Muslim nations would know the Lord. And one by one, these Iranian Christians, leaders, people I've known for 7 to 8 years, beautiful people, they started to say, "I want to go and be a missionary to this nation. I want to go and reach these people in this nation." And what I really believe is that the Iranian church is going to be a spearhead for what God wants to do in the whole of the Middle East. Because I can tell people about Christianity, but when my friend Hussein or Ali or Muhammad says, "I was a Christian, but I was a Muslim, but now I'm a Christian," something changes. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing through the Iranian church.
Yeah, that's just amazing. Well, how powerful is that? Huh?
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. So if somebody watching tonight wanted to help, wanted to support your ministry, what would they do? How would they do?
Yeah, we would love to be in touch with you. First of all, please pray for the church in Iran. And not just today, but like sign up for prayer newsletters. We've got a prayer app, Pray for Iran app, because we believe not just whilst Iran is in the news, but Iran will be out of the news in a month from now, 2 months from now. But the church is still going to be there. The people still need help. So please pray for them. And we would love for you to go to elam.com. That's our website. You can find ways to pray, find ways to give if you want to give financially. We're training leaders. We're getting Bibles into the country. We're planting churches.
Money pays for some salaries
it does.
and also for some Bibles and the like.
Yeah. And I can talk to you all about that. I love, what I really love in the scriptures is when Jesus says, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So I'm asking people to put their heart with the Church of Iran. And if you want to do that, you can give financially at elam.com.
Yeah, what a blessing. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, God bless you. God bless you. Well, maybe you've never made the connection between the mighty Persian Empire of your childhood Bible stories. Think Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys and modern-day Iran. But after today's conversation with Joe Connor and hearing about the work of Elam Ministries, perhaps your heart is stirred to pray for the people of that ancient land, the land of King Darius and King Cyrus, that we would see a flood of light emerge after nearly 5 decades of oppression and darkness. To learn more, visit elam.com and see what God is doing inside Iran. And if tonight's program encouraged you, take a moment and send me a note at joewatkins.org. I read every message, and I'm grateful for each one. From America's first capital, Philadelphia, I'm Joe Watkins. For Jeff Coleman and the entire team here at Lighthouse TV, thanks so much for watching State of Independence. God willing, I'll see you back here next week. I like it that you said for people to pray. You know, so many Christian people think of prayer as just like